I tell you what, when it gets to the Judiciary Committee, I do have one thing for Mr. Schiff. If he wants to be, as said, a special counsel, he set himself up, then here's my challenge to Mr. Schiff. You want to be Ken Starr? Be Ken Starr. Come to the Judiciary Committee, be the first witness, and take every question asked of you. Starting with your own involvement with the whistleblower. Folks, this ain't over.
When you look through this resolution, in multiple places, it gives veto authority by the chair to literally reject any witness that's brought forward by the minority. If the chair chooses at his whim, they can literally kick out the president's legal counsel. This is unprecedented. It's not only unprecedented, this is Soviet-style rules. The chairman was literally directing the witness to not answer certain questions by the Republicans. What kind of fairness is that? In fact, Alexander Hamilton himself, during the debate on the Constitution in the Federalist Papers, Alexander Hamilton warned of days like this, and I quote, "The greatest danger is that the decision on impeachment will be regulated more by the comparative strength of parties than by the real demonstrations of innocence or guilt." Alexander Hamilton warned about days like today.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, the Democrats' new push for the impeachment of President Trump is based off of a phone call that we have the transcript for. So you have to ask yourself, who are the people pushing this coup and why? We're going to take a deeper look at that in Alex Vindman, the supposed lieutenant colonel who's come forward with his case against President Trump. We're going to take a deeper dive into him and his ties, and we're going to take a look at other news, so you guys are going to stick around and check this out. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. As always, thank you if you hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and make sure you hit that like button if you guys like this content. Here, we always check the Q board. Q post 3570 is where we're at. So look, we haven't had anything new yet. We're waiting on new posts, but the storm is upon us. We are in the middle of everything, and that's why I think Q has gone dark, and we have so much information to get into in this episode that I want to just jump right in. With that being said, though, I always like to remind everyone, look, there is suppression happening here at YouTube across all social media. They're trying to slowly suppress this content, and they're doing it by gaming the algorithms and slowly taking away death by 1,000 cuts. They're trying to get rid of us. They're trying to replace us with the corporate news, the fake news, and you guys have to fight that. How do you do it? Watch these videos, share the links, get the word out that way. If you're new to this and you don't know what QAnon is, watch this video. What is QAnon? The Great Awakening will give you all the information you need, plus a whole lot more. So please go check that out and hit the share button on this video if you want to help get the word out. Now, today we're going to start right here. You know, I always like to point these things out that we get from certain organizations. First of all, the United States Marines tweeting out about Halloween. Don't let Halloween get the drop on you. Well, that's an interesting phrase to use. And also, if you watch the video, it's talking about this video where this officer, I guess, is sitting here at a desk, and then they're dropping candy on him. So interestingly enough, a lot of anons went, wow, this actually makes a lot more sense when you connect it to something. First of all, we know what Q does. Q posts drops, right? And the only number outside, or the only number you can really take away from this is the length of the video. And a lot of anons went to Q post 27, literally. When I went and read it, I didn't know that this was necessarily referring to that. But I'll tell you what, it's an important message to remind ourselves of. Let's go back to Q post 27, November 1st, 2017. Exactly one day from now, or 2 years ago, one day from now. So tomorrow, 2 years ago. Saying, not everything can be publicly disclosed because so much ties back to foreign heads of state. Much will be revealed. We want transparency, but not at a cost we can't recover from. And I've talked about this before with other people. We have to remember that the national security aspect that comes into play here is we have to live in the world with these other countries, especially the ones that were buying influence, that were paying off our politicians, who are getting all of the information about the weapon systems and our intelligence officers and assets across the world. All of these things are connected. And I'm not saying that the information is not going to get out there, but I think some things may never actually be able to come out, at least for now, given the fact that we have to maintain the order of the world. So it's not the new world order, it's the order of the world that we're in now, where President Trump is the head of it. The United States is leading the way once again, and I have to say that this post is just something we always have to temper ourselves with as we move forward. Now, in other news, the Islamic State leader crawled into a hole to die, the Pentagon is saying, as they release the video of the actual
aerial footage.
They released the actual video footage of the raid. Some very fascinating clips about the way that the team actually made it to the compound, as you can see here, how they breached the outside exterior, and then they broke in. If you want that, the footage is all over online, but I'll leave links. And this is just the beginning. See, a lot of people don't understand the importance of Baghdadi. What did he represent? Baghdadi represented the existential threat needed to have a global military-industrial complex that would be a breakaway civilization. A lot of people say, oh, that's something, Alex Jones talks about that. Well, it's a reality that these globalists, the cabal, the people that we talk about all the time, Soros, Sauds, the Rothschilds, and then their puppets inside of different governments around the world, especially in the EU and other places, these individuals allowed this to happen. There's a reason why under the Obama administration, all ISIS did was grow and expand. You look at what they did, their territorial expansion, you look at all the equipment that the United States left for them there, the Humvees and the tanks and the guns, and then the guns that were leaving Syria or Libya that just magically disappeared en route to Syria, where we were supposedly arming the moderate rebels, which most of which turned out to be connected to very extreme Islamic terrorist groups. So this in and of itself is the first step in combating this global cabal. And like we talked about in the last episode, if you guys haven't watched this episode about Israel and how they closed down all of their embassies worldwide and how that's connected to Baghdadi and all this and Trump and what's going on, you got to go watch that, share that on your social media, get the word out that way, because this is a part of the broader plan here. And I have to spend a second on this just to kind of highlight the fact that, ISIS is already naming their replacements. I believe the next replacement from Baghdadi was taken out immediately after, almost the day after, when they named the second in command. They were taken out by the military, and now they're appointing this guy named the Professor Abdullah Kardash as the new head of ISIS. Well, what's fascinating about all of these leaders of ISIS, don't forget, by the way, that the original name for the Mossad, or the Israeli intelligence, was the Israeli secret intelligence source or service, according to many people. Just throwing that in there as an aside, to understand how, and like I said, this is not about going after, Israel or going after the United States. We all have, there's a deep state, there's a cabal, there's globalists. That's the people we're talking about. We're not talking about an entire country, an entire, an entire swath of people. We're talking about very specific factions within these organizations, countries, etc. What I think is interesting, though, when you read these stories about these people, they all have some very interesting commonality, and I wanted to point this out. Kardash, the new leader of ISIS, is a former officer in Saddam Hussein's army. And he grew very close to Baghdadi when they were both jailed in Basra by United States forces for their links to al-Qaeda in 2003. It was in that Iraqi prison that Baghdadi became a jihadist demagogue, converting hundreds of prisoners to Sikh Vision's so-called caliphate. Now, of course, we know that imprisoning them and some of the things that happened probably did radicalize a lot of these people. But you got to ask yourself, how are all these people who we had previously arrested and were holding for these crimes, allegedly involved with things, basically for their links to these terrorist organizations, then they come out, and next thing you know, they're all of a sudden running these terrorist organizations that take over the entire Middle East, or a big swath of certain countries in the Middle East, I should say. And those organizations end up having direct ties and funding, and then weapons and tanks and stuff that just fall into their hands out of nowhere. So it's just when you read these stories, you have to be able to ask these questions. If we can't ask these questions, then why do we even have the First Amendment, right? Why do we even have freedom of speech if we can't question the motivations behind this? But if you're a Democrat, it's questioning is forbidden unless you follow the narrative script. Now, the Gateway Pundit has this headline out here, and when you read the statement that came out from this witness, I'll read the headline. It says, "Wow, Schiff witness Morrison blows up Democrat conspiracy, says he was concerned that phone call would be leaked, but was not concerned that anything illegal was discussed." Well, this is a fascinating headline because it kind of accurately portrays what actually happened in that hearing. Before we get into this story, I want to, juxtapose this, let's say, against the fake frauds in the mainstream media and what they put out as headlines. Here's an actual headline from MSN saying, and this is from the Washington Post, I should say. It's not from MSN, it's just reposting it. This is the Washington Amazon-owned lobbying corporation for Jeff Bezos, fake news, enemy of the people, Washington Post. This is their headline. White House official corroborates diplomat's account that Trump appeared to seek a quid pro quo. And then you read through this article, and there's barely any quotes from the actual statement that was made. They briefly mention that the person who came forward, Morrison, said that there was no evidence against President Trump that he did any crimes. But when you read a headline like that, and especially given a lot of people just read the headlines from the Washington Post, I mean, this is their takeaway from this. Here in the Gateway Pundit, with their article saying, "Wow, Schiff Morrison blows up Democrat conspiracy," says he was concerned the phone call could be or would be leaked, but was not concerned anything illegal was discussed. They actually directly quote the statement that was released, that was given by this individual who came forward, Tim Morrison, the National Security Council's Senior Director for European Affairs. Okay, he says, quote, "I also reviewed the memorandum conversation, MEMCON, of the July 25th phone call that was released by the White House. I listened to the call as it occurred from the Situation Room. To the best of my recollection, the MEMCON accurately and completely reflects the substance of the call. I also recall that I did not see anyone from the NSC legal advisor's office in the room during the call. After the call, I promptly asked the NSC legal advisor and his deputy to review it. I had three concerns about a potential leak of the MEMCON. First, how it would play out in Washington's polarized environment. Second, how a leak would affect the bipartisan support of our Ukrainian partners currently experiencing Congress. And third, how it would affect how it would affect the Ukrainian perception of the United States-Ukraine relationship. I want to be clear, I was not concerned that anything illegal was discussed," unquote. So how do you take this piece of testimony that he was giving here and get this headline? When you are a lying, loathsome enemy of the American people, fake news reporters, I should say, who don't care about truth, objective truth, throw it out the window. Facts be, you know what, you have to just go after President Trump. That's what they do every day. And the American people are starting to see through it more and more. Going into this Alexander Vindman, who is this guy? He's a colonel, a lieutenant colonel, I guess. His background is just incredible. He's Ukrainian originally. He's got all of these ties to different organizations. I want to talk about this story first. He's connected to Obama's Russian ambassador and Fusion GPS's Glenn Simpson. Now, how is he connected? You could see here. We'll read some of this story. It says, Vindman also admitted during testimony that he tampered with and tried but failed to alter the transcript of President Trump's call to the Ukrainian people. This clown thinks he's president. That's according to the article. I think it's very fascinating. Then last night, Obama's former Russian ambassador, Michael McFaul, jumped in with Liz Cheney and Mitt Romney. I mean, yeah. On anyone who called Vindman out for spying on President Trump in the White House. McFaul, a former ambassador to Russia in the Obama administration, praised Vindman in a tweet Monday night, called the attacks on the witness shameful, saying, quote, I served with Lieutenant Colonel Vindman in Moscow. McFaul wrote, Vindman is a patriot who has served his country with honor and distinction both on and off the battlefield. He was an absolutely first-rate military attaché at the embassy, one of the best on the team. Okay, so let me explain this to you. Obama filled the military with a bunch of friendlies in order to undermine our military at large and to take control. This is where this whole soft coup is being pushed from. It's from the intelligence community and the unelected bureaucracy there, and then the deep state leave behinds that Obama planted. Putting how many people go and do some research if you want to find some interesting information on how many military officers were removed under Obama and replaced with individuals who you could call friendlies. And I've talked to a lot of people in the military about this. This was common practice with Obama. He did everything he could to stack the deck in his favor with those individuals. And this is just another example of it. This Lieutenant Colonel Vindman is just another pawn of the deep state, it would seem, especially given his connections back to the Obama administration, Obama's ambassador to Russia, who was named the ambassador to Russia with really no experience. And this former ambassador to Russia, McFaul, is also one of the first people to continue to come after President Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, about his investigation of the Ukrainian corruption. Why? Because these people were the ones who knew about it and were orchestrating it. It's insane. You have in Congress, you have the patients are running the asylum. That's what's happening here. The criminals are running the prison. That's what's happening here. And this is just another example of it. They want these secret hearings. They want to take all this testimony out of context, then use it to attack the president, to try to smear him ahead of the 2020 election, and also do anything they can to try to undo the result of the 2016 election. Still, and that's where we're at. This story goes on to develop further, and in this story, I'll leave links because I don't want to get into the whole thing here, but you can understand if you read through this how he was connected to Glenn Simpson, how he was connected from Fusion GPS. They all worked in Russia together. You can't make this stuff up, and they're the ones coming after President Trump. Oh, we're just all Obama's guys who are out here in Russia working, setting up these deals, giving our family and friends millions of dollars of Ukrainian and Russian money. And Bill Clinton gets $500,000 for a speech. Joe Biden gets his son a cushy job on the board in Burisma. His brother gets a contract from the government. His son also gets a control over a $1.5 billion investment from China in their bank. Anyway, this is the news story that came out today, where you have lying shift star witness is tied directly to Ukrainian arms dealers, Ukrainian oil and gas, and the Atlantic Council. So this just goes further through his connections with McFaul, President Obama's former ambassador to Russia, and how that connection can be tied directly into basically the fact that there's direct references to him being involved with these organizations. One part of the article that I thought was interesting and worth a read is down here, where it talks about his connection to these lobbying firms. It says Yorktown Solutions is a lobbying firm that represents some questionable Ukrainian arms companies and the Ukrainian oil and gas industry interested in undermining the Nord Stream 2 project. Daniel Vajich is listed as the registered agent for the lobbying firm Yorktown Solutions. He just so happens to be a member of the Atlantic Council, the same Atlantic Council Burisma donated heavily to and welcomed Volker, now a senior advisor, after he resigned, which opens a whole other can of worms regarding his meeting with Burisma board members at the Atlantic Council event. Yorktown Solutions happens to also list, you guessed it, Alexander Vindman in their FARA filing. So these people are all working with one another, and they have to come out and tell you the craziest thing is that they come out and one of the first things they reported in this story is that this Alexander Vindman's having conversations with the president of Ukraine, trying to undermine foreign policy globally. At whose orders? I mean, who is authorizing these conversations? I'm pretty sure it's not President Trump saying, hey, get on the phone and tell, Zelensky everything's going to be all right. No. This guy, this Vindman dude, is bad news, I think, and they all are bad news. And this may have been a part of the plan from the beginning. That's what's interesting about all of this is I've heard from different sources that, maybe we're just giving them all the rope they want and need, because they are just marching themselves off a cliff here with this impeachment, because it's exposing all of their criminality. It's exposing how they work. I mean, right now, there's so many people in America that can basically see this for what it is, which is a scam, a complete hoax, a coup, whatever you want to call it. You have Rudy Giuliani talking about Adam Schiff here, saying Schiff is thanking Alexander Vindman for his secret testimony and for giving advice to 2 countries. Rudy Giuliani goes on to say, I thought he worked for the U.S. Schiff is using this cover-up major pay-for-play Dem scandal, or this to cover up the major pay-for-play Dem scandal. Ukraine corruption was not only one. Corrupt media is enabling this phony. This will emerge. So, English aside, grammar aside, this hits the nail on the head. These people, and if you think about it, they always talk about Russian agents. There's Russian agents everywhere. Well, guess what? The Russian agents are the ones helping the Democrats to enact this coup against President Trump. Why? Oh, and also the Chinese. Don't forget about them, right? The Brookings Institute. It's funded by China. The Brookings Institute funds lawfare. Well, Pelosi, Schiff, and Nadler hired lawfare as staff. So you have Russia and China helping the Dems to try to undermine our country because President Trump is standing up to them. They were infiltrating our country before. They were bribing our officials. They were stealing our technology. They were getting away with murder, and nobody was doing anything. And now President Trump's finally done something, and you have this. You have the Alexander Vindman fiasco, right? So, not to mention the fact here you have Clinton Foundation receiving $81 million in donations from controversial HSBC Swiss bank, including $1 million to dress up as a Russian soldier for lavish fundraiser. And there are actually pictures in here. Here's President Clinton dressed up as a Russian soldier. I mean, give him $1 million. I bet if you gave Bill Clinton $1 million, he would do anything. He'd probably go and swear allegiance to the Chinese Communist Party if you gave him enough money. That's the way I look at these people now. So that's what we're up against. This is insanity. Anybody in the news that is covering this any other way than the world's largest and most corrupt conspiracy coup against President Trump is lying to your face. And, you have the oil executives here from a lot of the major countries that were donating to the Clinton Foundation now all coming forward and pleading guilty to their roles in a scheme to corruptly facilitate millions of dollars in bribe payments to officials in multiple countries? Unbelievable. But this is the reality that they want us to live in, and it's totally normal. Another few things before we go. You have President Trump coming out with the dogs thing, Conan the dog, and all these Democrats are talking about dogs now. This one is telling. Joe Biden puts up this tweet a couple days ago of saying some Americans celebrate National Cat Day, some celebrate National Dog Day. President Trump celebrates neither. It says a lot. It's time we put a pet back in the White House. Yes, putting Joe Biden back in the White House would be putting a pet for the globalists back in control. And that's literally how you can read this tweet. And this Joe, I think, is too dense to see that, and or it's just a secret message on Twitter in plain sight to his masters, like, please put me back in the White House. I'll be a good boy. I'll be a good dog. I'll definitely heal when you tell me to heal. Not to mention you have this crazy weird story about Labrador being sworn in at the state attorney's office in Chicago. I don't even get into Chicago. They got crazy stuff going on there. But remember, this person overseeing it is Kim Foxx, the one who did the Jussie Smollett case. Just looking at all this stuff with a very, very skeptical lens. A couple other stories. David Steinberg, apparently what he has said is going to be big coming up. He apparently turned over information to the FBI about Representative Ilhan Omar and some illegal activities that she may be involved in. And apparently the FBI took it and they opened an investigation. And he says that there's some big stuff happening behind the works. So just throwing that out there, another example of these people falling, dropping like flies. And then finally, before we go, this is an example of, exactly what we're up against here. they try to rationalize evil. Scientists trying to understand evil. They're saying, oh, well, it's just a way for humans to rationalize things like disease and uncontrolled. You know what? Evil exists. You can try to explain it away however you want. You can say that scientists have figured out what evil is and what it isn't. This is just a way for them to cover up for their actual evil behaviors. And what do I mean by that? I mean, they have to write articles to scientifically break down what is evil, so that when they are found out for the satanic evil, individuals that they are, I'm talking about in general, it's always the fake news covering up for these globalist cabals of sick, depraved people who indoctrinate the fake news people into believing that, living a life of sin and evil is okay. But then they write these stories so that when the stories do come out about how really, truly evil these people are, they can say, well, that's not really evil, because evil is just how you rationalize bad things in the world. No. There's good and there's evil, and we are on the side of good, and we are standing in opposition to evil, and no amount of fake news and lies are ever going to change that. So that's where I want to go ahead and leave it. Again, thank you guys for watching. Come here, share these videos on your social media, hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to think. Links to everything that we've covered here today will be in the description, so that's always on every one of my videos. A few more things. Be brave. Download the Brave browser. Check out the link in the description. If you haven't downloaded it yet, download the Brave browser. It's an internet browser. It's just like Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox or whatever you're using, except it blocks ads. It's got its own built-in Tor browser and VPN. It's an incredible product. It's free for you. Use the link in the description to download it and install it and run it on your computer, and they'll actually make a contribution to this channel. So it's a win-win situation. Also, don't forget to check out RedPillLiving.com/justinformed, and there'll be a link to that in the description if you want to get products like Carbon 60, colloidal silver, chelation cream, this chelation therapy cream, and then you have all different types of essential oils and vitamin supplements. It's a great place to start if you want to start getting healthy. I encourage you to go use the coupon code JUSTINFORMED at RedPillLiving.com/justinformed, and you'll get 10% off your order. Also, I have these new shirts up. I don't usually talk about this stuff, but I love this shirt. I've already ordered it. I got gifts from my family, and Christmas is coming up. So if you guys check right below this video, there should be a little bar where you'll see these shirts. And this new shirt I made, Dogs for Trump, with a picture of Conan, the bravest heroic dog I know. Go check those out if you want them. Christmas is coming up. It'll make a great gift. I know I'm going to be either making a lot of people happy in my family or triggering a lot of people. But either way, it's a great shirt, and I want to encourage you guys to go check that out. Now, a few other ways you can help the channel. Come find me over on social media, on Twitter, at JustInformYou. It's a great way to connect. We have a conversation outside the channel. And also check out JustinformedNews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. Links to the Q stuff, different news sites, breaking news, and of course the latest videos from the channel. That's JustinformedNews.com. I also have a couple other ways you can make a financial contribution if you want to help this channel stay alive. There's Patreon, Patreon.com. It's a crowdfunding website. You just set it and forget it. It's a monthly donation. Your support keeps this channel alive in the face of all the demonetization. I've had to try to figure out new ways to do it, and you guys are always supporting. Your support keeps this channel going. Don't forget that. And also I have a GoFundMe set up if you'll make a one-time or anonymous donation. Links to everything will be in the description. Thank you so much for your help and support. And before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. Today, I want to share a short verse out of the book of 1 Corinthians, and I want to share this as a piece of hope for everyone out there to remember that there is folly in human wisdom, and this is something that God reminds us of on a regular basis. And when you look at all the evil that we're confronting and all of these forces that are coming against us, just remember these words out of 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18 through 20. It says, "No one should deceive himself. If anyone among you thinks he is wise in this age, he must become foolish so that he can become wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God, since it is written, He catches the wise in their craftiness. And again, the Lord knows the reasonings of the wise, and that they are futile." Now remember those words when you go out into the world. Remember what it says here. It says, no one should deceive themselves. If any of you think that you're wise in this age, you have to become foolish to be wise in this age, because the wisdom of this age of this world, I should say, is for the foolish. And God is the true wisdom. Looking to God beyond what is of this world, that's where the true wisdom lies. And that those who think they are wise in their craftiness, the Lord knows the reasonings of them, but they are futile, meaning they will fail, meaning read the Bible as Q says, God wins. We will prevail, and no matter what, we will have God at our side. And I want you to take that message, and I want you to share it with your friends and family and remind them with conviction that God is here, God is present, God is going to help us. He's going to deliver us in battle. We are going to win the victory over the evil that exists, and we have to do it one step at a time. And this is definitely an important step in understanding that victory is understanding God first and foremost above all else. So I'm going to leave it there. I want to say thank you guys for watching this episode. Remember, come here, click the subscribe button if you haven't. Headbutt it, tap it, bop it, press it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.